So welcome to today's session on Xplore. This is session 8AD of the Skills and Learn track. I'm delighted today to be joined by two friends and colleagues of mine, Joris Mertens and Ross Cruikshank. Joris is, in fact, both these guys are developer advocates. Roland from Amsterdam and Ross is in Hursley with me when we're allowed on site. So without further ado, I'll try and hand you straight over to these two guys to explain to you what Xplore is. Joris, all yours.
Yes, I hope you can hear me. My name is Joris Mertens, and as said, my co-host of today is Ross Cruikshank. I'm not sure if you're seeing our videos, but first we need to apologize since we are on a real live event. It was the first live event where we attended after the COVID period. So we're in a funny place to have some privacy for the session. So I will stop my video very shortly and share my screen. Let me see. I will. Yeah. Yes. So my screen is viewable for everyone, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
everybody. Yeah, it is. You know, so everybody else is on mute. So if anybody has any questions during the session, if you'd like to put them in chat, and then I'll either step in and mention it to Joris and Ross to answer there and then if it's important to do it there and then. Otherwise, we'll leave the questions to the end. Thanks,
Okay.
guys.
So today we want to tell you all about IBM Xplore. And I'm not sure if you already heard of it before. It's quite new. Perhaps some people have checked it out. But IBM Xplore is the next step, the renewed version of the well-known Master the Mainframe. And where Master the Mainframe was out there for years. Last year we made a transition to combined new tooling, and we re-imaged it for the future. We have created new tool sets and basically gave it a whole new name. So where we also stepped away from the name mainframe and bringing in the well-known name IBM Z. So I will show you a little bit of the background of it, and in the second half of this presentation, Ross will walk you through and give you a live demonstration of this platform. So looking at the agenda first, we're going to talk about, okay, cool, what is IBM Xplore? Then we're going to show you a little bit of the learning system because it's a learning platform. We have a student contest currently running as we speak, which we're going to show you, and then some timelines where to expect new updates or new content. And before I go to the last section, how to register, I want to jump to Ross, who will do a live demo on this learning platform. So IBM Xplore, as said, it's a learning platform, and we build it with a mission. And what is the mission statement? The mission statement is attract students from around the world to learn more about career opportunities in the Z ecosystem. We provide foundational learning path to learn that leads skill growth, creating continuous engagement in our student hub, and assisting in the development of Z talent for our clients. Well, that's a sentence by itself, but the first line is the most important in my opinion. The real mission is to attract students from around the world to learn more about career opportunities in the Z ecosystem. And we will do that by providing a learning platform where you will start from zero to hero by learning all about the ZOS in the ZOS platform. We will touch many other components of the Z environment, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. And I think it's important to understand what the word student means in this context. Of course, students can be people who are currently at a university or at a secondary school or wherever. But in this case, students are basically anyone who has who would like to learn something new. So IBM Z Xplore learning platform. Here it says it's available for students, but that includes also reskillers, educators, young professionals, basically anyone who would like to learn more about the IBM Z platform. We needed to have it available for 18 plus. So everyone with the age of 18 and above is able to use this learning platform. If we look at an overview of this learning platform, the base is that we have 3 stages. That was the same during the period of Master the Mainframe, where we had levels, and now we have the fundamentals, the concepts, and the advanced sections. If you look at the picture on the right side, you can see you have the getting started. Of course, you need to register and prepare yourself, and then the next thing you do is go through some fundamental challenges. And I mentioned before, that's really from 0 to hero. There is no prior skill needed to learn all about IBM Z, and in this context with on the ZOS platform. The fundamentals walk you through from the start by getting you connected to a ZOS system. Interesting to know is that during this period in the learning on the learning platform, you will not use green screens. You will use VS Code as your platform, and from there on you will learn all the basics, data sets, JCLs, and all the basis building blocks of ZOS. The second stage is the concept stage, where you will get some more background information. Why do we do certain things a certain way? Why did we change some stuff a certain way? And you get some more background, and again, some challenges, of course, which are real coding challenges on the live IBM Z environment. And if people are really into this, which we hope the most of them will, they can follow up on the advanced sections, and there will be more deep dive challenges. It's more about not only applying what is being told to you, but using your gained skills from the fundamentals and the concepts to be a bit more creative, find yourself how to solve errors in some pieces of code and that kind of stuff. So those are the 3 stages. There is for every challenge there is a certain time set, and eventually you can win points from where you can redeem prizes and swag and all kind of cool stuff. More specific, you can have badges. The IBM badges, in this case, are given out by Credly, which are some sort of accreditation that you achieve, that you have finished up the fundamentals, the concepts, or the advanced, and start with that as a reward for what you have learned. IBM Z Xplore is really a learning platform which is available year through. So it's not that it's available for a period of time and that it's being changed, but what we do, it's available the year round, and every now and then we release new challenges and new content, perhaps some additional streams from where you can learn all about more of the extra stuff, more away from the basics. And that will be done on a regular basis. So it's a growing platform. One thing what is important, what I did not mention, which you can see on the right picture, that's the top one, the IBM Z Student Challenge. And what is that? The Student Challenge, we kicked it off on October the 15th, and the Student Challenge, that is a part of the learning system, which is, as said, a challenge. It runs in this case for a month, and it's the student contest is specialized for students. So people who would like to attend the student contest, the student challenge, they need to be registered in a formal university. The student contest sorry, consists of 5 drops, 5 stages, and we are releasing every few days a new drop or a new stage. If you look at how it says here, we have them written out for you. The first one is to uncover targets needed to assemble the mobile. The mobile, what do you say? Yes, because the fun thing is, or the way we like to describe the challenge is that you are in an apocalyptic environment, stuck in a city, and you need to get out by building a vehicle, and you can find the parts to build that building by finishing successfully those 5 drops. So the first one is to uncover target parts. Generators need to assemble the mobile, and on the stack below you can see which components are needed. So for drop 1 you need to use Rex and JCL, and you can do the student challenge as a start, but as you can imagine, it would be better if you first do at least a part of the Xplore learning platform, so you have some skills gained. On the second drop, you have to uncover hidden codes by using Python and Bash scripts. And the next drop is to use SQL, COBOL, and JCL to get the location of certain parts. Then on drop 4, you're going to work with REST API enablement, ZCX, Python, JSON, and JavaScript, which are completely renewed on the platform to convert the location in a geocode position. So you have a location, okay, but how can you read that location? What can you do with it? And eventually, of course, you have to generate output based on current information, where you have to get all your skills combined and write yourself the code to get everything in place and create that vehicle. So it's a very interesting and attractive student contest, from where the students can learn a lot, and where many nice prizes are available as well. Last but not least, I already, my apologies, already skipped to the last page. I'll do that before I hand it over to Ross. The registration, how can you register? Well, of course, we have a landing platform, which is ibm.biz/IBMZ Xplore. And the student contest can be found within the IBMZ learning platform as a tile on the top. And there is a direct URL, ibm.biz/Z student contest. And I think that Ross will show you in a minute how the landing platform works, and gives you a little bit of interaction, so you have a good idea how it works. So before we go into the question, I'm looking to my right hand. Where is Ross? Ross, may I hand over to you and give you the word for the live demo and perhaps some technical background.
Yes, thank you very much, Joris. I hope you can hear me. I'm going to be using Joris's microphone. So a quick review of where we are. I'll just show you what we've been talking to people at in this environment, where we're on the DevOps UK show. This is the kind of technology platform, so you get an idea of what's going on. The core part here is the Influitive Advocacy Hub. That's where we've implemented IBM Z Explorer. Last year's one was implemented, Master the Mainframe was implemented the same platform. We've extended that this year. We're running the challenge, the student contest through Hacker Earth this year. So you register on Hacker Earth and then say you want to participate in the challenge. You then get signed up into the Influitive Advocacy Hub. And that's where this IBM Z Explorer resides and tracks the members, whether they're students or reskillers, tracks their progress. The bits that the students and the participants work with are in their VS Code environment at the moment. The idea is to give people access through modern tools. They can try out the access to data sets, access to the Unix environment. We also take them into challenges where they actually go off onto things like the Z community cloud, so they can do things with Z Linux. As Yar said, they do stuff with JCL, they write code with Python, COBOL, Rex, and so on. And then when they've addressed a challenge, they submit a job to get them into the habit that jobs are ways of getting things into the system. They run a job, that job triggers an API check, and credits here to Bill Pereira on the call for implementing this last year. We've expanded that to make it a core component of what we do here. And it's that component that sits and links all of the activity for what the students are doing on our Z platform with what their status in the Influitive Advocacy Hub is. And we have some components on the outside where we're managing our own content, so we can publish and update content easily without having to update the status of challenges. We can do some editing online, bring in new corrections for technology updates, or new links to manuals without having to redo the whole challenge process. Sorry about the noise in the background. We're at the bottom of a stairwell, but it's still quite noisy. So what I'll do is I'll show you what the platform looks like, but just imagine that whatever you're seeing here is involving lots of traffic going between a number of different hybrid systems. And partly what we want to do is emphasize that the Z component here isn't isolated from everything that's going on with the rest of the platform. It's a very tightly integrated link between cloud-based choreography services, third-party platforms that are all linking together the state and progress of the students, linked with their activities on the various components. So it's an example of hybrid integration being used to show how people can learn how to do hybrid integration. So I just want to share that message. I'm now going to switch over to the platform, and pretty much once it should be sharing. It hasn't shared. Must have shared one screen. So if I end that show and then share my screen, I'll just do the whole screen this time. And do we get this one? There we go. Come on, come on. There we are. Right, a bit of a lag as it switches over to the share model. So this is the kind of home page for a user. It tells them what their current points are, where they are in the system, of this section here. There are a track over on the right-hand side that tells them which module they're in, fundamentals, concepts, the advanced section, whether they're eligible for the student contest. So they have to have already said they're a student, as in a recognized academic body, and old enough to participate. So if you're not a student, you don't get this option. But once the program is finished, the contest is over, we then will open up the challenges that have been run through by the students, and they'll have won their prizes, got their cash, and got the extra badges for it. We can then open the challenges up to everybody to give a go at, because then all the forums will open up with people discussing it in more detail. We've got email notifications up here, so you can get messages from the hosts and the administrators. You can share messages between the various components within the system. And previously we've had links with Slack as a communications channel. And that channel meant that when you wanted to talk about things within the IBM, the Master of the Mainframe program, you had to be somewhere else to do it. And what we've done this time around is implemented forums within the homepage, so you can access the forums from the perspective of the learning platform. You can do it from the contest. Once you join the contest, you'll be given access to the contest discussion boards, so you can ask questions there or clarifications on the contest. You can see where the leaderboard is, so you can see how the rest of your kind of, let's say, co-competitors are doing, and co-challengers when you're doing the regular challenges. So the idea is to make this community more integrated with the activities that they're doing. So the students are now beginning to talk to each other. The members and the advocates are chipping in with questions, answers, trying to help each other, but without basically saying, oh, you need to put this command in, or this is where you should change the JCL. Let's go and have a look at the challenges and dig into them a little more, trying to nudge each other rather than just fixing each other's problems, which is fantastic. I'll give you an idea of what a challenge looks like. Let's see if we go to our learning platform. And you'll see that you've got the challenges that are available to you. So this is the ones that are unlocked based on your current progress in the system. So when you first join, you get opened up access to a couple of quite restrictive challenges to set up your the welcome section, and then to set up your VS Code environment so that you can register to get TSO or an NVS, ZOS, RACF account profile set up. And that then gives you access to the ability to get into the data sets in the USS environment. If I give you a quick tour of, say, if I look at the welcome page, they all have the same kind of look and feel. So you can get a nice bright logo, you get a story that tells you what this challenge is for, what it's about. You're invited to continue or to accept some T's and C's. In this case, you're asked some questions. These might go into your profile. So this is one of the things that will trigger whether you're going to be eligible or not for a student contest. You choose whether you're a student or not. You will be challenged on which institute you belong to or institution you belong to. We need a valid email address. There's a process that runs in the background looking for invalid, basically fake email addresses or just dummy email addresses. Those will cause accounts to get locked out. So if you want to use the system more than a couple of days, make sure you're using a valid email address. You can choose by filling in here about what kind of role you see yourself as playing. Are you a teacher, a participant? Where did you hear about things? Those kind of stuff. And when you completed this, they will require me to fill in some questions, like, so I will put myself here as an educator, and what country do I live in? I shall put in Algeria, just to fill things in. I've heard it through Hacker Earth, and I will be looking for future career opportunities. I'm now ready to enter Xplore. And at this point, I've filled in and agreed to the terms and conditions. I have to do that when I signed in. There's some T's and C's you have to agree to. Now we were saying we actually want to participate in this program. When I hit this, that will go off and provision me a ZOS RACF profile. And that tells me what I've done, now how many points I've gained for doing that, gives me some extra coins. Those coins will be swag prizes, so we'll be able to cash in points against swag of t-shirts and pens and reusable mugs, those kinds of things. Sort of merchandise of some sort, which will come in after the first contest is finished. We can check on the status of our accounts. We can join some of the other non-challenge things like the Global Z Student Hub, where we can get other activity going on, hear about other activities around the extended Z community. Let's have a look at, say, the Rex 2 environment. So This is a challenge which the color is not great on. It's one of the joys of doing this. I'll be able to see that things look different when you come in as a student. So the text is there, it's just not very visible. So we'll change the font on that particular one, which is just launched. So get that out of the way. You'll see up here now there's a link there, which is a link to the PDF on my cool system that has now downloaded that, so I can read the PDF. So I can always come back to this. Here's the formats of the challenge. Bill and anyone else who worked on last year's one, you'll find that the content style is very similar. We've tried to minimize the amount of change experienced by organizations that were using last year's Master the Mainframe model to this year, to give people time to understand that this is going to grow and continue. It's not going to be yet another change. We'll make some organic changes, but the fundamentals of what it looks and feels like from last year has been maintained across into this year. There'll be these kind of panels that give you 2 or 3 steps per page, take you through some tasks just to get you familiar with the thing. And the idea and the focus here is to give people the ability to try things, not necessarily go into the fundamentals at the lowest level, how things work, why things work, understanding everything at the very basic level before you even try anything. The idea here is to give you an opportunity to try something out, understand that this is something that you will need to know and learn as you become more familiar with the platform, but seed you with certain experiences that will be handy later, and you can call on when you think, oh, that might be a capability that I could use in my contest. I remember we did something with Rex, we did something with COBOL. I know I had to write a bash script here to go and navigate through a directory. I did a bit of Python code. I don't remember all the details of how Python worked, but I know that Python might be one of the options to solve this, right? And that encourages the students to look beyond the pure teaching material, because this material is not intended to teach, it's intended to give them an experience that lets them realize that there might be areas to go and look for. Joris has been working on some of those more formal courses, like the application modernization course, which will actually go into a lot more detail of how you do things. The enterprise COBOL course is about how you do COBOL. We give people here an experience of doing something a bit with COBOL and a bit of JCL and some data set interactions, but not teaching them everything about COBOL, just enough to be an experience, get something to work and go, well, that wasn't too difficult. What else would I need to learn if I was going to become involved in COBOL program? Those kinds of things. So there's always a challenge with these things at the end. That's what makes it a challenge up here. We get them to have a look at the problem. They have to have a look at solving it, and when they're all done, then they will submit a JCL job. And I'll show you that over here on our VS Code platform. We are running everything through VS Code. When that switches to the other view, let's have a look here on our JCL. Let's say we have a look here on our check-SQL. So this data set is going through directly to the ZOS environment. We're looking into PDSs, sequential data sets. We can look at catalogs. We can look across profile patterns to pull back data sets. We can do the same thing here in the USS environment. So we can pull in files from the ZFS, look through the Unix file system structure. Doesn't seem to be doing a query, so I want to do that. So the users are able to interact with the system. They can submit jobs from this system, navigate around, open data sets, whether they're in, let's have a look here. Where's one that might be useful? It doesn't give away too much. There's one. Okay, that one's empty because I haven't put anything in there. Here's some Python code. And the idea here is that a lot of the new students are being introduced to programming and systems interaction through VS Code, like integrated development environments. They've got the tooling that's sort of familiar to them, and if it's not familiar to them because of what they they're doing it at university or college, they'll have seen other things if they've been watching tutorials on YouTube or something that are based around similar kinds of tools. So this gives them an entry in it without them having to learn about and acquiring things like 3270 emulator options, learning TSO, ISPF, all those fun things at this early stage. We will get them into that later when they need to be able to interact much more directly with the systems much faster rather than on an individual data set or member basis. So we've got code here, we can write code, try it out. In the check jobs, we can submit those jobs using the integrated features of the Zowie extension that's been included here. So everything that we're seeing here is the mechanism for interacting with the mainframe is done through the Zowie components, which uses the ZOSMF API services on ZOS. So it can talk to the ZFS, it can talk to the MBS dataset layer, it can talk to the MBS command interface, so we can talk to the console if we get around to enabling that. Tend not to let the students go in and issue MBS commands. Or we can submit jobs. The job interface will trigger, we get some information down here about the job, that we can open the job and it opens up down here in this little dialogue. Now we've got full-blown interaction with our system. In the past, I think that would either say pass or fail. We now return things like return codes. We give an indication whether the job's been correct or incorrect. So the students get a little bit of feedback to say, yeah, you're not finished, there's more to do. And then depending on what stage they're at, quite often we find that the students get very focused on doing things step by step. And one of the things that this does is kind of anticipate that and make sure that when they run a correct job, it gets validated and tested. We will requeue things into the influitive system when their user ID is in the right state so that they can accept progress, because each of those things that they do in their influitive environment are not necessarily linked directly into what they do in their challenge activities until they submit the job to say, I'm done, you can now check me. Right? So that's kind of where we are with this stuff. So the Zowie environment is critical to get people going. We have terminal interfaces so they can be making queries in through SSH, so they can get into the mainframe itself through an SSH bash command line interface. We can issue things like DB2 commands to talk to the DB2 database. Part of the challenge environment is to get them to do some stuff with DB2. Some of the contest stuff goes further and makes you look into things like using the system catalog, navigating around database schemas. So the idea is to show you the basic tools about how things work, learn that the USS environment gives you access to POSIX standard Unix utilities like awk and grep and sed and translate and so on, where you can run filters, and you'll learn about pipelines. So you get a tool set that you can use regardless of what your background might have been and where your experiences are. If you've been a Python only programmer, it's really useful to learn some of the other tools which are available. Instead of having to write a Python program, you can write a 3-component Unix filter and get the data you want. And that part of the contest challenges is to help people understand that the way that you do things might not be the most efficient or most expedient way to do something, and you should be learning the capabilities of the native platform. Let me switch back across to this guy. So at the end, we would submit a job, and that would take us back to our platform where it will reflect that we've completed our tests. And if we can get this a little bit out of the way, and I'll fix the screen on that. I'm betting this is not live yet. When we go back in, that would trigger an event that says the user has left the challenge. And if we've got a kind of outstanding check where they've validated that they've completed the challenge, then we'll go back in and make sure that their profile is updated to reflect the work they've just done. And each time you complete challenges, there may be other dependent challenges that need you to do a little bit. So you might have to do some file setup before you can go off and do the JCL environment, or you might need to do Docker setup to be able to do some of the things with Ansible. Each of those dependent challenges then becomes available in your available list. You can always go back and look at your challenges that you completed. So if we go into the JCL one, you can go back, you can pull down the PDF that had the steps that were involved in that challenge, so you can revisit things. So you might go back and go, oh, well, I might need this for my contest, but I've now completed the challenge, I can't see the details. But you can always go back, get hold of the PDF, and it'll take you back through the steps that you must have gone through to have reached where you were. So back here in PDF, in the home space world, we can see the history of things that were going on here. We can switch across. If we've got any activities we've published that might need administrator approval, we're trying to limit that this year. There were things that involved a lot of admin interaction and approval. We're trying to make this as automated as possible this year around to make sure that things that students want to submit are automatically progressed through for them. So you'll see up on that top right again where we have fundamentals, concepts, and advanced. The advanced module is equivalent to what was level 3 master the mainframe last year and previous years. What we're now going to do is look at making a new category. There might be an extension of the advanced modules. It might be an extended category. And Joris will have some stuff to show in the timeline on where those are coming. But the idea for that is to take us now back into some of the areas which have been touched on in Master the Mainframe in the past, but only for 1 year at a time. So we have the flexibility now to offer challenges beyond the basics. It's essentially the kind of familiarization challenges, and take people into a world where we can say, let's give you a taster of what CICS is like. Let's show you a little bit about how RecF works, and set up isolated environments where they can try some stuff out. They can dig around in some basic commands and understand the most common things that users would do once you've got onto mainframe, giving access to others to your dataset profiles. For example, creating generic profiles, adding, removing security groups, that kind of thing. Take them into the world of SDSF or ISMF, where they can become familiar with dataset management or job management, queuing, output, release, those kinds of things. And they can then build that set into a larger portfolio of their experiences. And as we add more, we'll add in links to more formal education. So if they think, well, this is an area I quite like the application development side, or like their idea of working with KICS, transaction management and operations, we can lead them to some of the learning programs that sit outside for learning paths for developers, learning paths for system administrators, and so on. So it gives people more of an experience to understand which areas of a Z-based environment they might want to work in. Similarly, we will also be introducing Z Linux platforms. That gives us a lot of flexibility to introduce the learners to things like container-based application delivery, DevOps, and things like OpenShift, and give them some hands-on experience with OpenShift. So I think I've covered most of the things I wanted to say. We're at 1:45, so if I hand back to Joris, and we can talk about the timelines of this.
Yeah, so again, let me see if I can immediately share my screen again. Here it is. And yes, so we talked about the registration, how you do it, where you can do it. So one of the last things we would like to share with you is the timeline of what you can expect. First, on the top, we were talking about the student contest. The registration opened up on September 15, where on October 15, the contest actually started. It runs for a month, and at December the 10th, we will announce the winners. On the bottom side, you can see the learning platform, the continuously available learning platform. It was launched during Z-Day on September 15, and on mid-October, which is just started, we have more advanced challenges added. And in mid-November, we will do that. We will do that again. We have many more ideas of challenges which we would like to add. We have listened to the feedback from previous Master the Mainframe contesters and users saying, okay, did you miss anything the previous years? Are there topics which you would like to be covered? Also, the clients who were using it together with their teams, we listened to them as well. If I can give you an example, since for 2 years now we're using only VS Code as the platform to interact with the IBMC environment. We also learned that the old-fashioned terminal sessions are still well wanted, and we are currently in the process of investigating how we can implement that, for example, in a future challenge. And so on. We have many more topics, and with the new technology being released every now and then, we try to add that also those technologies and convert them into challenges. Having said that, this is the basic what we would like to share about Xplore. We do have some frequently asked questions, which we also would like to share with you. Where can I find the IBM Xplore learning platform? We have put in the URL, as well as the registration for the student contest. One thing we didn't mention before, we have a specialized educator kit, and the educator kit is built for the audience of educators. So if you're interested in hosting a Xplore session yourself with perhaps a bunch of developers from your company, or even if you have any other interested people, we have an educator kit with some more background and some more information which can help you run or host a session yourself. Where can I go for questions? It was already mentioned, the Xplore forum is introduced as replacer of the Slack channel. So that forum is really active, and overall the answers are rather quickly provided. And we have the IBMC Educator Hub, which is one of the hubs we use if people have questions. And the last thing I mentioned very briefly, if you have a group, if you have a bunch of people specialized for classrooms, we have, if you want to join as a group of people, we have a special URL where you can make an educator request for getting a group of people to go through the learning platform, with the benefits, for example, that we can provide more information on the achievements which they made, or the struggles they had, or the current situation where they are now, and so on. For us, this was the information. I think we talked a lot about this platform. I hope you are enthusiastic to check it out furthermore. We have provided the direct link, and we also have the QR code which you can use. So from here on, Paul, may I ask you, are there any questions which we need to answer from the audience?
Yes, none so far, but one's just coming through now. But if I just ask the other question before that, I know what you were saying, that last statement will be of interest to a lot of educators, the fact that they can now get data on how their students are actually doing. If students have already signed up, is it possible to then allocate them to a group, or do they need to have signed up through that one web page in order for a university to be able to get access, or an educator to get access to the data?
No, Paul, they don't. What we've implemented is a mechanism where an educator can register as an interested party, and they can then assign a code to the course that they want to track. They give the students that course code, and the students have a challenge option to register that course code against their profile. And that creates a virtual group membership. So a student can be a member of a number of different courses, but at the moment, one at a time. And that educator will then be set up with a report that comes through on a weekly basis of how those self-identified contestants, if you like, have associated with that particular educator's program. It sounds a little complicated, but they say, yes, I want my details to be shared with my professor through this code, and we then submit a report to them on a weekly basis saying, here are all the students that have said that they would like you to see their details. And you'll get the information about which challenges they've done, how they're progressing with the badges, how many goes they might have had on the repeat challenges if they're doing multiple attempts on it, and whether they've accepted things like the credit badges or not, and what their current points levels are.
I see a question in the chat from Michael Carey about the Master Mainframe Wall of Fame, where it is now.
Okay, so the Master Mainframe Wall of Fame was kept up to date until the end of the Master Mainframe 2019. Last year's one didn't implement that, and at the moment I'm not able to spend any time on it, but I plan to look into it after the contest is finished, and how we can take last year's winners and place that and contestants and implement an update for MTN 2020 into the Wall of Fame, and then redeliver the same content through this year's. So it's been a kind of minimum viable product approach this year of what do we need to get going, what do we need to get the contest live, what do we need to make things all work, and the next thing on the line, I know there's been queries about the Wall of Fame. We've got the data for previous years, it's just how do we get the last year's stuff rolled into there and get it redelivered. So it's on our list. It won't come yet, but you will get an update when we make it live.
That's great, thank you. I've actually, just to save time for the anybody who's in the audience who has questions, you can actually unmute yourself now and ask those questions if there's anything you want to raise or any comments you would like to make.
Okay. So in the meantime, if there are no questions, but we'll give them a moment, I think we would encourage you all to check out the platform. It's a great platform to learn. Again, it's basically available for everyone. Only the student contest is really intended for students on an accredited university or learning system.
Yes, and hopefully the fact that this is available all year round, rather than the old contest with Master Mainframe that was September through December/January, should make it far more usable for educators. Just one point on the educator kit that was mentioned. This is quite a useful resource. It's in a box folder so you can get access to it. It's got an overview of Xplore, so it's a summary of what the guys have talked about today. It's got a sample letter if you wanted to share that with other educators or educators you're working with. There are a series of FAQs with answers to those, and there are some social media tiles that are available for you to use should you want to be sharing them on a campus site, etc. So a lot of resources there. If there are things that you need that aren't there, then please reach out to us and we'll endeavour to get those to you.
Yes. And last but not least, in my speaker profile, you can find links to my LinkedIn, Twitter. So feel free to contact me whenever you have questions or if you want to have more information. And other than that, tomorrow I will speak as well on the Z modernization on IBM Z. So if you're interested in that, I just want to make a little promotion talk on that. I hope to see you then. And also on behalf of Ross here next to me, I think Paul and everybody else, I would like to thank you for attending and spread the word about IBM Z Xplore.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys. Looks like there's no more questions. As Joris said, if you think of any afterwards, then please reach out to us. Otherwise, that is the session done, and that was 8AD if you want to feedback on the presentations. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Bye now.